over by President Xi Jinping and leaders of some of the world's most heavily sanctioned nations in a visual show of solidarity against the West. They include Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, Myanmar junta chief Min Aung-hlaing, and the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian. The Tiananmen Square event will also be a military coming-out party, according to Weng T-sung, fellow at the Atlantic Council's Global China Hub.
The key storyline here really is China's rise. And that the military parade will help highlight the journey's humble beginnings going way back to World War II. And through that contrast, it's going to underscore how far China has traveled in the decades since.
Alongside the tanks, fighter jets, and defense systems, Chinese military officials suggest the display will also feature precision strike weapons, capable of traveling at 5 times the speed of sound.
All these are major weapon systems that represent the cutting edge in military technology globally for sure, but also the unmanned ships specifically is a new asset many people have been talking about that could be instrumental in any kind of cross-strait invasion scenario between China and Taiwan.
The parade comes amid deep-seated mistrust in the West and the ongoing territorial disputes in the region. Security in Beijing has tightened dramatically ahead of the event, with streets emptied, shops shuttered, and military rehearsals bringing the city centre to a near standstill.
Front and center at today's massive military parade in Beijing was North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who rarely leaves his own country, his nation known as the Hermit Kingdom. CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio joins us from our London bureau with what this all means. Remy, I think you've got experts looking over every single frame of video because it's so rare that we get to see the North Korean leader out of his own country. So what does his attendance really represent, and what are we seeing?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A lot of dissection happening here. This is a huge political victory for Kim Jong-un, Errol, that the world is now witnessing. He's leader of a pariah state that we know. He wants nuclear weapons, and we know that he sent 15,000 troops to help Putin invade Ukraine. And now President Xi Jinping has, in effect, welcomed him in from the cold, restored relations after about 6 years of no face-to-face direct contacts. You can take a look there. He is by President Xi's side for much of what we're seeing, even having a great seat right in front of Tiananmen Square right there at that huge military parade today. This is choreography that you're watching. This is Xi's message to the world that Kim is with me. Now, we spoke with North Korean expert Park Won-gon. He's in Seoul, South Korea, and asked him what Kim's biggest win is out of all of this. Take a listen.
The normalized relationship between North Korea and China, and it will help the North Korea's future discussion or dialogue or whatever with President Trump. And I think still there is a possibility that Trump would try to meet Kim Jong-un again.
So he's saying that China's restored support of North Korea could then help Kim meet Trump again. They already met 3 times, remember. Park also had a warning for Washington that Trump should not give up on the denuclearization of the North Korean peninsula. If he did, he said there would be a nuclear China, a nuclear Russia, and then nuclear North Korea, and their government's all deeply anti-American.
And Remy, we've mentioned this hour, Kim's massive, slow-moving train heading into Beijing. He was joined by his daughter and sister on this trip. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, to the casual observer, Errol, one might think, oh, maybe this was a fun family trip to Beijing, but it might be that. However, it might also be dynastic tradition unfolding. And this is about Kim Jong-un's daughter, specifically, Kim Ju-ae. She's believed to be 12, maybe 13 years old on the right-hand side of your screen. This was her first known trip outside of North Korea. It's been tradition to bring future North Korean leaders, successors to China, so they can start building a relationship with Beijing. Kim's father and grandfather did the same. But one challenge, though, is that she is female, and North Korea, we know, is a patriarchal society. So there's a lot of choreography there. There was also a surprise. Kim Jong-un shook hands with South Korea's second most powerful politician, Speaker of the country's legislature, Woo Won-sik, who was repping his country in Beijing. But that actually broke a rule that Kim Jong-un had put in place himself to have any direct relations there. But looking ahead, we're seeing that potentially this is not something to hold your breath over, because North Korea actually still says that South Korea is its #1 arch nemesis.
really fascinating details throughout. Remy, thank you very much.
Maher.
习近平主席和应邀前来出席纪念大会的外方嘉宾，正沿着
China put its military strength on full display this morning. Take a look at these images. This was a massive parade in the heart of Beijing, all to commemorate the end of the Second World War. Chinese President Xi Jinping oversaw these commemorations, and he was joined by more than 25 leaders. In that footage there, you'll see Russia's Vladimir Putin, as well as North Korea's Kim Jong-un. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Anna Corrin. She is following developments for us from the Chinese capital. Anna, great to see you. So help us understand what we are seeing in this dramatic footage. What's on display and what is the message from the Chinese leader?
Yeah, Errol, it was incredible to be here. Just this show of power and strength on the streets of Beijing. The media had to be there very, very early, like 3:30 this morning. We then had to wait until the parade got underway at 9 a.m. But when President Xi arrived, flanked by Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, there certainly was a chill. He is there to project this image of strength, this image of a man in control, an image of a man who wants to overthrow the status quo and challenge the US-led world order. And seeing that trio on top of Tiananmen Gate was quite extraordinary. Xi addressed the crowd. He then inspected the troops along Chang'an Avenue, and then the latest military hardware was brought out for everyone to see. 50,000 spectators were there, and we are talking about nuclear missiles, hypersonic weapons, drones, the list goes on. And really, as I say, Errol, this was the largest military parade that China has ever held. It was obviously to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II and the surrender of the Japanese. But this was really about Xi Jinping projecting that image and sending that message directly to the United States.
The pageantry, there was some real networking going on. The leaders of Russia and North Korea held bilateral talks there where you are after the parade, and that leads into so many other big international headlines. What can you tell us about their one-on-one?
Yeah, before I get to their bilateral meeting, I should mention that 15 minutes into the meeting, President Trump took to social media. He was clearly watching the parade, and he berated China. He said that American troops actually deserve more credit for China's victory over the Japanese back in World War II. He then went on to accuse China, Russia, and North Korea of conspiring against the United States. So it just goes to show that the message that Xi Jinping is sending is obviously getting under President Trump's skin, despite what he is saying. But that bilateral meeting that happened after the parade between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin, these are two countries that have helped each other out enormously. North Korea, as we know, has given thousands of troops to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, something like 13,000 troops. We know that 2,000 have died. And that was an opportunity for Putin to thank Kim personally for the troops' bravery. And Kim responded by saying, thank you, that if you need more, I will do that as an act of basically, of brotherhood. So for Kim Jong-un, you know, he really was the wild card in this parade. This is somebody who lives in a hermit kingdom, incredibly reclusive, yet he traveled on his armored train, stopped at a missiles factory before he crossed over into China, and then he arrived with his daughter, with his wife, with his sister, and his daughter is expected to be his heir apparent. But you know, this is a country that is obviously under heavy sanctions and has been now for decades. So for Kim Jong-un, this really was a moment to shine the sun and to be given that status, if you like, from China and from Russia.
Yeah, quite remarkable. And we were discussing yesterday how that train only moves about 37 miles an hour because it's loaded down with Kim Jong-un's stuff, but making the point he wanted to be there for all that you've just walked through. Anna Corin, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Good morning. This is Morning Sky. I'm your host, Sky. Now, what you just witnessed was just complete and utter nonsense. It's all nonsense. They can show as many troops as they want. They can show as many missiles and laser systems and drones and different aircraft. None of that can even be in, you know, close, like the same ballpark, the same, I don't know, you know, the same city, the same state, the country as United States of America. United States of America has the finest fighting forces ever in the history of humanity. And the strongest fighting force probably is the Navy. The Navy has such an outreach across the world that it can sustain itself and still have power with, you know, ground troops, myself, a Marine. They can have air power. They can have, you know, the Marines can have air power, the Navy can have air power, and the Air Force can have air power. But the seas are ruled by the United States Navy. There's no question there. There's no, they couldn't run, they couldn't, I guess, you know, tug a ship behind all the other military weaponry and everything like that. I guess they couldn't do that, but our ships, our submarines, our, you know, carriers and battleships and everything. I don't know if there's too many battleships, but there's definitely carriers. They have the capacity to wipe out any foreign foe we have the opportunity to do so. That means that if we had the actual capacity to think and to win wars and be proactive and understand what we're doing, that would be the key. Let me pause for a second. Sir Rick James is in the building. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Sponsored by Pepsi. Okay, I'm not sponsored by Pepsi. And brought to you by Frontier, not Frontier Airlines either. Recorded live in the Blue Room in the heart of Delaware, backed by popular demand, the man of the air, Skylar Saul. Salute to you, Rick James. Appreciate it, sir. But yeah, they can't even come close. They can't. There's no. It's like holding a candle to the sun, as the cliche goes. You can't even compare. They're stopped. They're goose stepping, and they turn their head. They're sweating in their faces, and they have their firearms. They have their rifles at at an angle, and you know they're saluting and everything. And he's walking. He's rolling down the main way, talking into microphones inside of a car. Like, that's cute, but it's Xi, Putin, and Kim Jong-un. They are the axis of evil of today. North Korea, Russia, and China. But they're not really that much of a threat to the United States of America. They're not like a threat like Iran and Saudi Arabia, essentially. Saudi Arabia is not really a threat either. They're just, you know, sponsors. And they're not really the hornet's nest. The hornet's nest is Iran. we have to deal with Iran. The closest we got to was dropping a bomb on them. They may have been unconstitutional. But once we get together and we get to a constitution and declare to the Congress that we're going to war with Iran, that would change things. And speaking of Iran, the president of Iran was present at the festivities, as I guess you could say, and that just just shows you how out of touch and out of reality these leaders really are. Because, like I said, we have the mightiest Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and Navy, of course. I'm just Department of the Navy, the men's department, but that's a joke. But the Navy, you have to give them credit. You have to give them supreme credit. They ruled the world. The United States Navy rules the oceans. I mean, at every second, and right now as I speak, there are, if not hundreds, maybe even thousands of vessels rolling over the seas, all commanded by the naval leaders in the United States of America. So this little showing, this little display of quote unquote power, I just think it's just, too much. It's too much for nothing. It means nothing. We have the bombs. We have the second most amount of nuclear weapons besides Russia. And we're dealing with autocrats. We're dealing with authoritarians. We're dealing with dictators. People that don't really care. And will pay lip service and say democracy, even though the United States isn't a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. So we have to really dig into that ideal that the United States of America has supreme authority over the seas. And yeah, Rick James says democracy is not for him. So what's for you? If it's not democracy, constitutional republic, that's what's for me. It used to bother me when people said, "Oh, it's democracy." I'm like, okay, it's not, but you can say what you will. I think I know what they mean. They mean by what the word technically means. It's a government of the people. Demos is people. Cressy is or state or government. Oh no, Rich A says communism. Oh my God. You wouldn't even be on this site if you believe that. You wouldn't even be able to do it. That's a sick joke, Rick James. I'm ashamed of you, sir. That you say something like that. You wouldn't be able to put on your clothes in the morning. If that were true. Communism. Get out of here. But yeah, I know. That's why I said it's a sick joke. That was a sick joke. That was cute. He tried to pass that off as something that was real. That was cute. But that's what I'm talking about. It's a shame that these people are so ingrained. And notice there are no blacks. There's no Negroes. There's no niggers. No niggers. No. Africa is a huge continent. I think there's 1 billion people on that continent. They're talking about people from India, from Russia, from North Korea, from China, all them not Negroes, not coloreds, dark-skinned coloreds. They pose zero threat to the world. That's because they can't even get their rights together. They can't even live together without worried about being raped and pillaged and everything. It's a sad truth. But I just thought I should point that out because anybody else notice that? There's no black people on the stage. It's a lot of white and yellow and red and brown. There's zero blacks because they can't get it together. They have famine and wars and civil wars and infighting and all kinds of mess. But she is just trying to posture, just trying to flex his muscles, just trying to show off and show out in regard to being in the eyes of the world, because all the journalists covered it. They made sure they were there early, as in the clip that you just saw. One of the journalists, she was saying how the media had to get there way early in the morning to get a good spot, to get the best vantage point. But that's where it gets very interesting. That's where it gets kind of sticky, because it's like there's so many other countries in the world. I mean, it's like just a few are just basket cases, just bastards. They just don't know what the hell, and they want to rule and control and everything like that through autocratic and dictatorial means. Sir, do you think the U.S. will start another war? That's a loaded question. Yes, but maybe not in the next 10 or 20 years. It'll take another 10 or 20 years for us to start another war, unless we are attacked. And if we are attacked, we can't tie our hands behind our backs and go into fighting a war like we did with Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh, you can't shoot her. She has a bomb strapped to her chest, but she's a woman, so you can't shoot her. Oh, he's a little boy. He's got an AK-47. You can't shoot him because he's only 3 years old. He's only 4 years old. That's what I'm saying. Oh, and we have to build sewers and schools and make sure people can vote. That's our whole role in doing this war. Not self-defense, not avenging the lives and the victims of September 11, 2001. Not protecting our homeland, but we can build schools and sewer systems and clean up landfills in other countries. And remember how poor they are. Remember the scenes from Afghanistan? Yeah, it was like that before we got there. Like it was when we were there and when we got out. And that's why, what was it? I think they found it was like 1,400 people died in the earthquakes. The toll stands now. Goddamn shame. All right, I'm going to do something else.
China held its largest ever military parade in Beijing on Wednesday, marking 80 years since Japan's defeat at the end of World War II. Chinese President Xi Jinping was flanked by Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Designed to project China's military might and diplomatic clout, the event was largely shunned by Western leaders due to Putin and Kim's attendance, with the pair considered pariahs in the West due to the Ukraine war and Kim's nuclear ambitions. At the top of the program, Xi addressed a crowd of more than 50,000 spectators at Tiananmen Square in the capital.
The Chinese nation is a great nation that does not fear violence, and that stands independent and strong.
Xi then inspected the troops and cutting-edge military equipment, including hypersonic missiles, underwater drones, and a weaponized robot wolf. Helicopters trailing large banners and fighter jets flew in formation during a 70-minute showcase that culminated in the release of 80,000 peace birds. Seated between Putin and Kim in the viewing gallery, Xi repeatedly engaged in conversations with both leaders during the parade. It marked the first time the trio have appeared together in public. Putin later thanked Kim for North Korean soldiers fighting in the war in Ukraine during a bilateral meeting. Kim said he was willing to do everything he can to help Russia. The parade also comes as U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs and volatile policymaking strain the United States' relations with allies and rivals alike. As the event kicked off, Trump, in a post directed at Xi on Truth Social, said, quote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Trump had earlier told reporters he did not see the parade as a challenge to the United States. Japan's top government spokesperson declined to comment on the parade, adding that the country and China, Asia's top two economies, were building, quote, "constructive relations."
China's President Xi Jinping with a grand show of force,
中华民族
marking 80 years since the end of World War II with its biggest ever military parade. We were there as the crowd of more than 50,000 waved Chinese flags cheering as thousands of soldiers marched in perfect unison. Several hundred ground weapon systems on display, over 100 aircraft, and jets ripping through the sky above Tiananmen Square. The guests of honor, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un with Xi together for the first time, watching over the parade from the balcony.
The crowd is clapping as Xi Jinping is flanked by Putin and Kim just over there in an extraordinary show of unity.
And for Xi, a chance to unveil his country's newest military hardware to the world.
We're seeing hypersonic missiles, stealth fighters, drones. This is about Chinese President Xi Jinping showing that his military is modern, that it's advanced and ready for combat.
President Trump's tariffs putting a strain on relations with China, Trump lashing out on social media, accusing Xi of conspiring against the US, saying, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America."
Now, the Kremlin has rejected any accusations that it's conspiring against the United States, but they also said that the three leaders did not even have that in mind. Robin?
All right, Britt, our thanks to you for your reporting there.
And that's another thing. I said it before, I said it again. Bomb the Kremlin. Can't we? What? I'm stupid. I'm not a military strategist. I'm not an official. I'm not an officer. I'm not a general. I'm not a political advisor. I'm not some kind of strategist in the White House or the Pentagon. But I don't understand why we can't just bomb the Kremlin to dust, to ashes. I don't. And what would that do? I mean, what would it do? Would it make a difference? I don't know, but I just wonder why we haven't bombed them, into the Stone Age. Why haven't we done that? I don't understand. I still am trying to figure that out. It's a weird way of looking at it, but I just it trips me up. It trips me up. I'll go back to the video.
I'm sure the U.S. military and its allies and partners are watching the parade, and especially the weapon systems very closely to see if they can find out anything new and corroborate those details of what they have on hand regarding the PLA's weapon systems. One of the things that we can see from the parade is all really superficial, but no doubt I think some sense of concern that it creates in China's adversaries or its rivals, that can be ruled out with the use of, well, as you said, deception or, weapon systems that are not effectively deployed yet across the units. One of the new equipment that they will showcase today is so-called anti-drone microwave, whereby they will have a system effectively emitting microwave to bring down drones at a distance from their intended targets.
We're watching live pictures tonight, right now.
What the hell? Oh my God. Oh my God. I hate doing this.
Military parade is so far. What's clear to you from the message that China is trying to send tonight?
This is a message of strength. This is a message of victory. After all, they are commemorating the 80th anniversary of the surrender of Japan. China was a major battleground in World War II for 8 long years, to the tune of perhaps around 20 million Chinese casualties. during the Japanese military's invasion and occupation of parts of China. And this is a demonstration to China and the world that China is strong, it can protect itself, and that Xi Jinping is the ruler of this country. He has just done a review of the troops in his presidential limousine, and now we're being treated to scenes of uniformed soldiers with helmets, jogging alongside tanks and other military vehicles.
Excuse me. Okay, so this is what the late great George Carlin, Rockin' Power to him, said. He just observed this, and I think everybody thinks it, but doesn't really want to say it. The missiles, the bombs, the rockets, the bullets, all these things happen to look like penises. He said another word, but I'm trying to keep it clean. They look like penis. Is that a coincidence? What is that about? It's mainly men that are in charge of these countries. It's mainly men that are in the military. There are very scant amount of women. There are women, but it's not as a great amount. But it just goes to show you how weird and strange that is. How they happen just to have the resemblance of penises. It's just weird. It's just a strange thing. How do I segue this? Speaking of people that talk about sexual ideals, I was watching the podcast or the broadcast. I don't like the word podcast. I like to say broadcast of Bill Maher's Club Random. Yeah, I knew the pause was coming. I was like, I don't have to pause. But Bill Maher's Club Random featured Woody Allen, and he was talking about how he was older than most people when it came to the Me Too movement. But Bill Cosby is just a few months younger than Woody Allen, and he got swept up in the Me Too movement. He was really cool. He went to prison. It wasn't just jail. I think he went to prison for a short stint. He actually went to prison for the issue, and it just alarmed me because this Woody Allen's movies are better than Woody Allen. Can I say that? Does that make sense? Woody Allen, the person, is a very depressed, very aloof, kind of just kind of sketchy, kind of lechy, kind of like a lecher. He took his adopted daughter and married her. That's a little strange. That's just a little kind of weird. I mean, there's sexual assault allegations. Some of them were true, some of them were false. But for the most part, it's just very strange that he should have this kind of relationship with his adopted daughter. Rick James says the same people who want Bill Cosby to rot in jail are the same who named their daughter after Woody Allen characters. Fact. That may be true. That may be true. That may be true. So we have to, you just think about that. Just contemplate that fact. I mean, that's just weird, And the late great Paul Mooney said it. He almost predicted it. He was talking about Woody Allen back in I think it was like 92 or 93 that the Woody Allen scandal happened, and he was talking about in 94. He was saying like the crowd was like, ooh. He was like, yeah. Y'all are like I'm like Gladys Knight and the Pips. You the Pips. I can get rid of you, or Diana Ross and her singers. How to get rid of you bitches. Because you know, if it was Bill Cosby who did this, y'all be saying, yes, get at him. Yes, go at him. Like, it's a very different situation altogether. Could be racial. I'm not trying to push the racial agenda. I'm just saying just individuals. Because I'm not protecting Bill Gates. I'm not caping for him either. He Bill Gates. That's a slip of the tongue. Bill Cosby. I'm not, advocating for him either. But it's very strange, sir. It's borderline. How's it necrophilia? Because he's almost dead. Is that why? Because he's so old. I think he's 90 years old, and Bill Cosby is, I think, 88 or 89 years old. I'm trying to figure it out now. Hold on. Yeah, Bill Cosby's 88, born in 37. Woody Allen is 89, born in 35. He'll be 90 in November. So just imagine that. Just imagine, him saying that. That's just like a bit of hubris on his part. Because it's his daughter, sir. I'm talking when I thought you were saying that too. His daughter. His daughter is dating a very, very much older person. She's what, 60? He's like 60 or 50 years older than her. That's what I'm saying. So that is the creepy, weird side of Hollywood. That's Holly weird, But I you can't deny the art. That's the weird space where you have to separate the artist from the art, because he has a lot of great art. My favorite movie of Woody Allen's probably is Stardust Memories, and then second will probably be Purple Rose of Cairo. Well, I'm gonna try to go in order. Third best is probably Hannah and Her Sisters. Second best is probably Purple Rose of Cairo, and number one is Stardust Memories. Yes.
What are you doing?
The show.
Huh?
The show.
What?
Okay, so that is, the weird space that we're in right now, Yeah, of course, yes. Papa Saunders in the building. In the building. Definitely in the building. So what we have to, just analyze and confirm is the fact that, our stars, all the people that are in Hollywood, most of them are freaks, delinquents, creeps, and they all, could go to Hollywood and have their own little cabals and start their own little movements sometimes. I mean, just imagine how many people got hit by the Me Too movement. You got Matt Lauer, you got Garrison Keillor, you got Kevin Spacey, you got all these careers just evaporated overnight, just in within headlines. I'm just giving you examples. I'm trying to think about anybody else besides Cosby and Woody Allen. Woody Allen didn't really get hit by the Me Too movement. I don't think it was because of his age. I think it's because of it may be, due to the fact that he has, the academy. The academy is very deep. The academy is deep. It has so many different things. I see you, Texas. He always says, go back to Jesus. But what do I go back to Jesus? You're with Jesus. Texas Carnage 817. And what I've noticed from you is you're pretty negative. Jesus wasn't negative. Jesus was pretty positive. You're on the negative. You're almost like worse than a doubting Thomas. Jesus was philosophically negative. I'm not saying that, but he projected an air that he was supposedly positive. Jesse Lacey got hit by the Me Too movie. I don't even know who Jesse Lacey is. I should know Jesse Lacey, but I'm not sure who that is. I think that Bill Maher gave him softballs. Like he threw softballs his way. Nothing hard hitting. Nothing. He's more excited when it comes to getting at rightists than leftists. Even though he has right leaning ideals as well, but for the most part he's very leaning on the left. And he threw softballs at Woody Allen. He didn't hit him with the uppercuts that I thought he was going to do. He didn't hit him with strong enough. He said, "Well, I've liked your comedy ever since I was in my teens, and just my guys, and you dated so many beautiful women. You dated Diane Keaton and her sisters and stuff like that. It just wasn't the hard hitting journalism that he should have displayed, in my opinion. I think Bill Maher is one of the few people in this country, in America, that have shown themselves to be what Mr. Chorstar Terrain says. He said he's one of the stupidest people that can still have a great living, can still lead a great life. It's because he said so many awful things about the United States military following September 11, 2001 attacks. I mean, it's crazy. It's not a room, it's a kingdom. Richard shows some damn respect, you heathen. Texas, go back to Satan. Can't go back somewhere I've never been and will never go back. Well, that's what I would say. I'm never going back to Jesus. It's never going to happen. There's no way I can go back to Jesus. Rick, you damn rainbow warrior. They're going back and forth. But yeah, Bill Maher is a liar, a coward, and a nigger to me. He doesn't represent. I used to watch his show, just every Friday night. HBO. I was there. I was watching HBO. Real Time with Bill Maher. I don't even know if I think he's moved to CNN or something like that. I don't even know if he even comes on, but he has the Club Random series, and he doesn't hit back. He doesn't hit back with as strong, enough questions for me. He was almost like it was almost like a puff piece. It was like he was like gagging over him. Bill Maher is a bit of a stoner and a bit of a loner. Okay. Free Rot. Death Row is in the building. It was up to 5 people, now it's down to 1. I think he's talking about I can't rot with me, Texas. Your Texan counterpart. Yeah, so it was it was an entertaining interview, but I just thought he would throw some harder balls. Pause. I thought he would throw some lines at him. What happened with him? I don't know. Something happened to Rot. to rock with me. I don't know what happened to him. That's how I knew he was in here with the waffle Texas on the plate. Hey yo. But that's what we have to come to terms with. We have to really come to terms with that. Woody Allen, his output is amazing. I think he has over 50 films, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how many exactly he has in IMDb, but I can check actually. Let me see. Wow, he's got quite a few. It doesn't say the exact number, but it's ranking up there. Looking like close to 50 or more different movies, feature films. Wild show so far. Let's see some one-ups. Rock got caught in Compton with a switch. Zach Lee fled regardless. Okay. How hot was his daughter that he had to bone? Well, you can look it up on your own there, Death Row. I'll give you her name. Soon Yi. Soon Yi. But now it's up to 4. I can never gauge this thing. I have no idea what the hell. Now it's down to 2. I have no idea what the hell. People come in the room. Oh, well, this guy talking about. Oh, well, I gotta get out of here. Is she a? See, I don't go at grand scale people. I go at special people. Rick James asking questions that I cannot answer. You're gonna have to figure it out on your own, there, sir. Bill Maher, though, he just is a loathsome, low-grade journalist and a panelist, and then he's a comedian on top of that. He doesn't really have the knack for proper journalism. Like I said, I was enamored when I was like 15, 16 years old, something like that. I used to watch Real Time all the time, every Friday night. It'd be live. You didn't know what was going to happen. They had moments from that show where Zach Galifianakis lit up a weed, a blunt, not a blunt, a joint, and smoked it on air. Yeah, Bill is fickle. I agree with that, Death Row. I think he doesn't possess the right acumen for carrying on a conversation, and it's just that sense of not really committing to facts, not really committing to reality. It's just bloviating in a sense, really. It's just bloviating. He's just talking to talk. He's just trying to get out his message, but it doesn't have anything to do with it. So, his Woody Allen interview, it's just okay. It's like a C-. It could have been an A+ if he asked him the right questions. He let him go with saying that he was too old for being caught up in the Me Too movement. Bill Cosby is a few months younger than him. They're almost 90, each one. So it's not the fact that he was older. It's the fact that he may have just got, the approval by the Academy. I don't even know if he can attend Academy Award ceremonies. He may have been banned. I don't know. It's a weird thing. He has 4 Academy Awards. I think all for best original screenplay. I think that's all. I would imagine. I don't think he has his best director. But he has 4, and he has the most nominations than anybody else on the planet. Most nominations for best original screenplay. But he has his faculties about him, Woody Allen, but he just doesn't have the same verve. He doesn't have the same vim and vigor that he once had. And that's just, par for the course. He's almost 90 years old. But at least he still has his faculties. He still has the capacity to speak properly and to remember things and to recall and show himself to be, special in that way. Well, not special, but, interesting in that way. Is Will Smith allowed to attend the Academy Awards after slapping It wasn't Kevin Hart. It was Chris Rock. And I think it's like a 10-year ban or something like that. It happened in what, 21 or 20? It happened in 22 or 23, something like that. So the next time he can go back to a award show, I think is 2032. Then the Bill Cosby should be allowed to get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Fact. Well, I don't know if he'll get a Lifetime Achievement Award for the Academy Awards. It'll probably be for the Golden Globes. If he ever has a reversal, if they ever switch up and change things, that could be part of it. But Bill Maher, just a liar, coward, and a nigger. That's it. That's all he is. He's downtrodden. He's low. He's debased, just like Woody Allen, just in a different scale. No sexual assault allegations or anything like that. But it's a different world. It's a totally different world. I mean, we're in Me Too Part 2.0 at the moment, and the Epstein files are still alive. He's not alive, but the idea of it is, I'm just waiting for somebody to get to the next thing to argue and not even argue about this, to fetch about, and just complain about. We're talking about global warming and climate change and President Trump being out of office. When is it going to? When he gets out of office and the sea levels return to their original positions, and the glaciers stop melting or something like that? Do they find something that just can't be stopped or reversed? I mean, the glaciers are going to melt, and those that do that causes pressure upon the water, and that creates more activity within the tectonic plates, and that's what causes earthquakes. Global warming. I mean, go figure. I had to learn that the hard way. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm stupid. I don't know. But yeah, there's a sense that Woody Allen tried to convey himself as a proper gentleman. I don't know, just he seemed that way, and he seemed that he was honest, but I just don't think he has the power as much as he once had. He lacks that potency And the same goes with Bill Maher. He just lobbed easy ball after easy, softball after softball. It was just the puffiest piece. It was crazy. And that's what I was thinking about. Mr. Me Too, the Me Too movement. Puff, Diddy, of course, got caught up in the Me Too movement. The way in which we govern whether we look at ourselves as powerful individuals is just, if we can match our own abilities. Some people have lesser abilities, some people have greater abilities, but you should be able to confront yourself and say, look, I've done this, like Woody Allen, like I married my adoptive daughter. That's just weird, very strange. And Bill Maher didn't even push back on that. He didn't even push him back. He was like, whoa. Let's go back for a moment. Why did you marry your daughter? Like, can we get to understand? She's your stepdaughter. I know there's no bloodline. We get that, but the relationship wise, it's still a relationship that you have, with your she's technically your offspring. She's not really, but she's technically somebody that you raised. And that's what the late great Paul Mooney said. He's like, I wasn't raising P. He was raising P or Coochie. I wasn't raising Coochie. He was raising Coochie. And then he made that prediction. He made the prediction about Bill Gates. I keep saying Bill Gates. God damn it. Bill Cosby. He makes that prediction about Bill Cosby all the time. And that was way before anybody, said anything about his sexual activity and his alleged assaults. Wow, Death Row's got some weird questions in the comments. But just knowing that, we have a place in our lives where, we can understand why people do the things they do, or try to understand why people do the things they do. Bill Maher wasn't doing that at all. He wasn't trying to understand what the reason why Woody Allen is living the life he's living right now, how his movies didn't make as much money, but he saved enough money when he was earned from those movies to buy a house and sold it for more money than any of his pictures ever made, probably combined in a sense. So the way that we continue to be focused on what we're doing is to be ever vigilant, to be pressing, to ask the hard questions, ask the questions that make people maybe feel uncomfortable, without being, rancorous or nasty or mean spirited. Just ask the strong questions. Like, how do you continue to have a marriage with your adopted daughter? How do you continue to go on with these sexual assault allegations? How does that happen? That's all you had to do. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in. Rick James, Texas, Death Row. I appreciate all of your attention. I will see you sometime tomorrow. Thank you very much. Take care.